How's it going? It is Thursday, January 11th at 9 p.m. on the West Coast in Portland, Oregon. I'm here once again. This is the fourth time I've gone live today, I think. I'm going to sharpen some more knives. So I got a bunch of knives in today, which is just made me excited and happy because I ran out of knives and I'm on a roll. So I want to keep this going. So I got a bunch of knives in. I just want to bust them out. And hopefully someone will see this cool video and go, I want Tom to sharpen my knife too. So I should send my knife to Tom because he'll do that and he has time. Because I will. I'll get it done. I'll do it on video. So if you're interested in getting your knife sharpened, get on your little phone and shoot Thomas Moore a DM. Tom Moore on Facebook, actually. And I'll hook you up. All right, so we're gonna sharpen another one of these. I was gonna bust out some Spideys. This is fun. I don't do serrations. I can't do Spydie edge serrations at all. They look good. They look sharp still. They're probably not. They're probably used up, but they look sharp because they're Spydie serrations. That pattern, the Spydie edge. Mean looking serrations. It is pretty cool. So an old school Endura. It's got a saber grind. So this is probably I don't know, 15 years old. Maybe a little bit newer than that. But it's been around for a minute. They haven't made black grinds like this for a while, unless they just do on the serrated ones. Alrighty. Again, we're just doing the tip section. I'm not going to do the serrations. I can't do serrations. I get all excited sometimes. People will message me and they'll like go, "Oh, I got something for you to sharpen." And I'll be like, "Oh, sweet. What is it?" And it'll just be like a fully serrated knife or a karambit or an out the front automatic double-edged dagger with nowhere to clamp on it. It'll always be something I can't sharpen. So I get let down a lot when I get my hopes up, hoping for something, and then it's something I can't accommodate. Unfortunately, I just do the normal stuff. All right, this is a Spydies. Spydies are typically 17 degrees. So our last knife we did was like 24, so we're going way up to around here. This is a knife, though, where the angle doesn't really matter. It doesn't have to be 17. The last one we did for him was 20, because that's what the existing angle was. So let's just see what this is at. This one looks like it has a bigger bevel. Yeah, so this one's at 17. His last one was at 20. That's good. We're going to stay there. Let's tape off these serrations so I don't accidentally grind them off. Oh, actually, before I do that, I'm going to pin this post to the top of the group. All righty. Okay, we're going to sharpen this at 20 degrees. We're going to tape this off with electrical tape. This isn't super necessary. I just don't want to. I want to be able to feel free to over sharpen on the end of the edge without sharpening off a serration. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just going to tape it like that. That way I can sharpen the very end without worrying about hitting a serration and leaving a scratch across it. Alrighty. A little reprofiling I'm going to do. This is a user. It's got a semi-blunted tip, which we'll kind of try to straighten out. You know, I might actually lower this angle a little bit. It's not totally clean removing the Sharpie. It's got a little bit towards the bottom of the edge. There we go. So I get a plethora of things. You know, last thing we sharpened was, oh, I didn't even show off what we sharpened earlier, did I? Did I already box it up and get it to go out? I already did. I already boxed it up. The FSD, that's why. It was pretty cool, but sharpened that brown knives FSD earlier today, but I already boxed it up and it's on its way back to the owner. I believe, which is sealed up in this box on my desk. Maybe not. This is what we sharpened earlier. Forgot to show this off. So we sharpened it once on camera, and it had a nice mirror. I took the mirror all the way up to 8,000. And then I did a cut test. I did the cut test on camera, and it was a little bit rough, I'm not going to lie. It didn't cut paper as razor blade-like as I prefer. And it was kind of embarrassing when I cut. I was like, kind of tore a little bit. So I was like, that's just bad piece of paper got wet or something like that. So I took a new piece of paper. I did a cut test off camera. And that knife, you know what? We put some time into sharpening the edge. It wasn't even sharp. So you know what I had to do? I put it back in the sharpener. And because we established that that edge was 24 degrees, I resharpened it. And it was no big freaking deal because it took like 2 seconds to set up. And I just sharpened it really fast. It's already profiled. And then I took it out and it was fucking money. So that happens sometimes. I don't know what it is, but sometimes edges don't come together and you just got to test them on paper or test them on however you test our sharpness is. If they're not sharp, you just got to start over. You just got to do it again. And that's what I had to do today, and I'm happy with how it turned out. So we're just doing a little profile, and this bevel's got some use to it, obviously. It's funny how many, I think knives, serrations used to be a lot more common, I feel like. Like most of the knives I see that are Spydie edge are older, obviously. But they're common. This is VG10 steel. It's pretty soft, but still got a little work to do on it. This will be another cheap edge. Happy to do it. I'll bang it out. No big deal. I like doing expensive edges. I like doing cheap edges. A little less stressful, which is relaxing. I just get sharp and not worry about anything. That's one thing sharpening is, if you have, let's just say, mental illness like me, and you have times when you just don't want to be thinking, you don't want to be in your head, you want to escape your thoughts, pick up sharpening. This is like the best therapy. And I went to therapy for 7 years. This is better therapy for escaping from your problems and focusing energy. And I have ADD, so doing this is like crazy to me that I can sit here and focus on this thing so intensely. But it's so involved, the process of what you're doing, that you can't not pay attention. So it's really relaxing. This profile on this thing. I think we have a burr by now. Man, this thing's not forming a burr. Keep on going. I'm going to jack the angle up a little bit. That'll help. Man, I don't know if it's making a burr or it's apexed or not. Weird. It's taking a minute, this VG10. Soft steel, it shouldn't really take a lot of effort to get a burr. Unless our angle was off by a lot, but looks like we were pretty close. Oops. Doing the tip, my finger under it to make the stone from not rolling, make it a little pointier. Man, I can't even tell if this is getting a burr or not. This is crazy. Very entertaining, I'm sure. Okay, we're just gonna see if this thing's sharp, and then we'll know if it's got a burr if it's sharp. This is the oddest steel I've sharpened in a minute. For something that's so soft, it's creating no burr off a 150 grit stone. It's apex, it looks like, and it has been for a long time. So this is just one of those times when you're sharpening and it's like you just have to move on eventually. And then if you get to the end and it's not sharp, then you know you weren't ready yet. But okay, now I have a burr finally on one side. So let's just do this one more time. It is possible. We figured it out. Crack the code of whatever amount of time it's going to take to get this thing to do what it needs to do. It's important to, when you're working for a burr like this, to not just stay on one side, because sometimes you'll chase a burr and it won't happen, and you'll end up creating a giant bevel on only one side because you worked on it too long and you didn't switch before it was off center, the apex. Okay. Now I got a burr. There we go. Okay. Now we're going to switch to 400 grit stone. Okay. Back to our start side. I had to flip the burr over before we started officially. So 400 grit, this is as high as we're going to take it. We're just going to make this a quick. This is, I guess, what people would call a working edge, because unless I really invested some serious time in here, there's too many imperfections to like make it look. I could mirror it. It just takes some time. So this is a working edge. It doesn't need to look perfect. So I'm not going to take out every imperfection and a ton of steel at the same time to make it look nice. We're just going to call that good. One last pass. And now we're going to hope that's sharp. Let's drop it real quick. I'm going to change the angle. We don't need to change the angle on this drop because we're not polishing it. We're just pulling off the edge. Okay. Okay. Wipe off all the boogers. Let's test our edge. It's kind of weird the way this side ends. Oh, it's been sharpened at a different angle before. So my edge is on top of another edge that's a different size. So yeah, it's not going to be perfect. It's just a working edge. Sharp though. Yeah, can't be perfect. It's not my knife. It's been used and loved and worked on. They're not all showpieces. Okay. Oops. So this fella sent me 4 knives. We did one of them earlier. Earlier, the knife was this Emerson Wave combo edge with stainless handles. It's a heavy knife. So that was an earlier knife. Another one. And I have a Delica. Good old Delica. Let's use his own knife to open the package. So Delica was my first real Spyderco. I can't remember if I had that or Tenacious first. If I had a Tenacious, but Tenacious didn't win me over. It was just a knife I had, and I didn't think anything about it. But when I got Delica, the Delica 4, it was like probably 2010. I just fell in love with it. Like, and I couldn't figure out why. It was like I'd sit there and fidget with it. Oh wow! I'd sit there and fidget with my Delica. Oh man! And it's just so satisfying to open and close and put. This thing weighs a ton. This is the heaviest Delica I've ever handled. It's brass scales, I think. Wow, it's a tank. And yet again, another combo edge. This time on a Delica. This is a heavy knife. It's so heavy. Let's do it up. So it should be at a pretty close angle to this since they're fairly similar blades, but I guess we didn't really set it to an angle last time. Let's see where this edge has been. Where this edge lives at currently. What's its address? How it resides. Ooh, I need to fix that. Ooh, this has got some snaggage on the edge. Let's see if that'll clear. Nope, it hits the plastic. So I gotta adjust this in the clamps because it's pushed too far in and it's hitting the rubber when I try to sharpen. Blade's a little too small. There we go. Okay, we're gonna do a Spydie. That's pretty darn close. To their side, that's pretty darn close too. We're gonna call it good. Okay, get a little tape. Tape off the serration. And let's just sharpen this little edge. A little tiny edge. It's like sharpening a Tonto tip. It's just a little half a delicate's edge. What's funny though is like it takes less time, but not the equivalent of how much smaller this is as a PM2. It's not going to take a third as long to sharpen as a PM2 is going to take to sharpen. If you get this thing to burr up fast, then I'll be excited. The last one's a pain in the ass. Sharpening, sharpening. Flippage. I'm going to try to point this tip a little bit. It's kind of been blunted with some over time. So I'm doing perpendicular strokes to the edge without rolling off the tip. Nice and pointy now. Nice little burr underneath it. There we go. This VG10 is behaving a little bit better. We got a burr. Burr on one pass, not four. Same angle too. Just goes to show you sometimes things don't cooperate. Okay, got a burr. We're good to go. We're going to reduce it real quick. Working edge, so it doesn't need to be perfect, but we want it to be good as it can be and aggressive. 400 grit stone real quick. We're just going to do one quick pass with it. I still want it to be kind of coarse on the edge. This is obviously a cutter. And let's, if it's got an edge on it, he likes serrations. Just give him a little bit of micro serrations. Okay. I think we're good for this particular knife. So this is like why sometimes my pricing is hard to explain, because this isn't my cheapest price on my price list. Is, I think I say small knives are like 15 to 20 or whatever. This is like, yeah, it's like a $15 edge. It's just simple. It's not, still takes time. But I can't charge, like, I'm not charging a full folder price. It just takes less time, but not proportionately less time for how much smaller it is. Okay. Let's cut some paper, see how it cuts. That's right. You can get some of that. Oh, I didn't even strop it. Do this one by hand. This one I can do by hand. No problem. Gotta not do the serrations. Okay. Yep, little tips. Man. Not done. I still have a chip in there. I'll have to remount it back up. But you know what? I don't feel like doing that right now. We'll redo it later. Yeah. Partially serrated knives. It's interesting to see them. You don't see them a lot anymore. There was a Knife Center exclusive. No, not Knife Center exclusive. It was like distributor exclusive 52-100 carbon fiber pair of 3. And it came in plain edge or partially serrated. And that knife had enough problems selling as is because the steel got such a bad reputation so fast that the partially serrated one was around forever. You could have got them forever. You could have got them for cheap. But now I see people like lusting after them and Walter polishing them up and all sorts of stuff. It's funny. So my theory on the secondary market is revolves around not everything is expensive because it's hard to get. Some things they grow on people, and over time they gain in popularity. Like Nirvana wasn't popular at one point, and now everyone wants a Nirvana. Same thing with Bowie. But for like exclusives, like when the Rec Pair 3 first came out, I pre-ordered it and it was no big deal. Like no one wanted it. And then they hit, and then people found out there's not very many of them. Then the website crashed, and then the prices skyrocketed. Bento box blue stuff is worth a bunch of money now. You couldn't fucking force people to buy it from them back in the day. So it's just interesting to see how the value of things changes over time and how people's taste. And what's cool is is not always the same when you look back at it a couple years later. Well, then, it's been a half hour. I'm going to call this a day for my last live stream of the night. Thank you all for joining me today. It was a hoot, and I will see you tomorrow.